I also mentioned that they have the Suicide Squad poster on here, and I just kind of glanced at that. And Harley Quinn's belt buckle, I thought it said HD as in like high def, until I was like, oh no, that's probably a Q. She probably has Harley Quinn on her.
No. It's the belt buckle, it's HD.
You know, sometimes they like tie things in like high definition into the characters.
No, it's HD for huge dick.
Ooh. Is she a huge dick, or does she have a huge dick?
She stole it from the Joker, who has a huge dick.
A huge boner, I think he calls it. That was a good one. You set him up and I'll knock him down. Anyways, that's all I have.
I have come on a mission of gravest consequence. For I am the Watcher, member of an ancient race far older than man. But though our power is great, we are pledged only to watch, never to interfere. But now mankind faces the greatest danger it has ever known. The danger of
the Watchers of Earth 199,999.
Welcome to the Watchers of Earth 199,999. I am your host, Andrew, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Seth.
Wakanda forever.
Our third co-host, Joe, couldn't be here today because he is currently stealing poker chips in an illegal underground casino in Korea? Seoul?
Yes.
I couldn't remember where it was. Because it's illegal and I wasn't there, but I was trying to figure it out through the Snapchats Joe was sending me. Our fourth co-host, Uatu, is here, but he is sworn only to watch and to never interfere.
Today we watched... I forgot that was my part. Today we watched... I almost said episode. Today we watched movie... Today we watched...
Today we watched movie.
Today we watched movie.
Cat guy
man.
fight.
Directed by man, written by men. Today we watched Black Panther, which originally premiered on February 16th, 2018. Directed by Ryan Coogler and written by Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert Cole. I don't know why I said Robert. Do you think Ryan Coogler was assigned to this because it sounds like cougar? But he's a panther, so why would that matter? T'Challa, heir to the hidden but advanced kingdom of Wakanda, must step forward to lead his people into a new future and must confront a challenger from his country's past. So, Andrew, in a sentence or less, what did you think?
Potentially, well, I was going to say I'd paint a target on my forehead here. This movie, when I saw it the first time, I thought it was fine, but I came out not really caring for it. Watching it again, I thought it was fine. I came out liking it more than I remember, to the point that I would say I'm overly positive, but I think this movie has some of the best of what the Marvel Universe can bring and includes some of the absolute worst that the Marvel Universe has to offer. And it's kind of even on both ends. If you ask me, based on my memory of the first time, I would say it comes out in the negative overall. But this time I'd say it's kind of even. There's a lot I don't like in this movie, but they're really isolated in just a couple scenes. And I think just certain ideas that I don't think go where I was most interested for them to go. But overall, I liked it. This is one of the better ones we've seen, I think, with a lot of asterisks. How about you?
I forgot to put it in my rankings, and I'm struggling.
I did that while we were setting up, and I don't know exactly. I'm struggling to figure out where I'm putting it. I have it somewhere right now.
And it honestly doesn't matter.
It keeps jumping around every time, up and down, every time I...
Yeah, I'm just going to put it here. Okay, so I think it was boring and long.
I will say this is one of the longest ones, just by nature of what it uses its time for.
I have an asterisk of... It was mediocre for me. I don't think I cared for a lot of what was going on, but my asterisk is I don't really... So I come into these, and I always say, hopefully I find a second put-up. I really don't know what my put-down is.
Because there's nothing that you really just didn't like?
Nothing was so visceral
overall?
to me. Yeah. Nothing was so visceral to me that I was just like, I hate this. There was
I have a definitive put-down, and I have definitive put-ups. What they will be, I guess I think
they're very close for me.
I have things I like and I have things I really, really don't. But honestly, the things I really don't like about the reason why I rated this movie a little higher than I remembered it, I think is because I remembered all the stuff I didn't like and did not really recall a lot of the stuff I did. So watching it again, I knew that I was just kind of prepared for the stuff I didn't care for to start happening. And so I was a little more open to the more interesting stuff. But I will say, like, there is a lot that I don't like about this movie, but it's also a lot of it is the same crap that all of these movies have. And I think some of the problem is just the general Marvel fatigue, but I also think it gains, or at least it negates some of those negatives just because this is the same crap every Marvel movie has. Some of it's worse than other Marvel movies, but it's the same, like, it's fucking long and it doesn't need to be. And it has entire segments that don't need to be. The final act is the worst and headache inducing. And out of all the movies where the hero fights an evil version of himself, this one is literally the hero fighting an evil version of himself. And the plot's kind of all over the place. And I think the movie is very strong at the beginning. I think it has a fairly strong opening. And I remember when I watched it in the theater, I was pretty much on board up until the car chase. And this time I was still there a little longer than that. But like when they go to Korea and... Well, we'll get into that when we start talking about it.
Can I do a couple big picture things?
Go ahead.
So, this is one I'm excited for. A long time ago, I think actually February 16th, 2018, you told me it's like a heist movie but with superheroes in it.
I did not say that.
Who said that? I thought I thought that was from you. Maybe you were...
You've been repeating that and I have been holding my tongue. I think what I told you, and I think either I wasn't the one who told you this, or you are misremembering what I told you.
Special move.
Because what I recall telling everybody when they asked what I thought about it, when I get to what I don't like about this movie, is at the beginning, I felt like it was a spy movie with superheroes in it up until the car chase. And then it turns into complete Marvel schlock.
Okay.
And I was most interested in that spy movie.
I still don't see the spy movie, I guess.
Well, they do the whole thing where he goes back to Wakanda at the beginning, and then Shuri's showing off all of the different gadgets and whatnot, basically like a Bond Q sort of thing. And I was like, oh, these are all like a bunch of cool little technology things. I also realized now, thinking about that, the magic sneakers that he puts on never matter.
None of that does.
No, the
prayer beads do, but
the automatic like controlling driving thing does, and the different suits do, because it explains why there are two suits in the movie. It also explains how they can keep taking their fucking masks off and putting back. I hate that digital mask thing. I despise it. And Spider-Man starts doing it too. It's fucking the worst. But like at the beginning, there's like the look at all our gadgets thing that like a Bond movie does. And then, you know, they get all dressed up in disguises and they go to a casino and they're there to like intercept a criminal. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a cool like spy movie, like a Bond movie, like, you know, they're undercover, you know, they're sneaking around trying to find this guy. There's probably gonna be globetrotting as like he gets away and then they have to go chase after him. But all the spy stuff is in that part of the movie, and then the car chase happens, which is one of the longest car chases in the history of mankind. That isn't in a Fast movie.
We should have made a ranking of our favorite car chases in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
This one, I will say, again, like the rest of the movie, it's not as bad as I remember it, but it's still, it goes on forever for me.
So I must have misremembered, and I can buy that answer. So my other thing, we talked about accents before. Martin Freeman's not bad.
He's not doing an accent.
He's doing like an American accent thing.
Oh, is he? I guess you're right. He is an American. I guess it didn't even register to me.
He
I will say
Bilbo Baggins.
No, you're right.
Gandalf
I just
Baggins.
didn't even think about it. I will say the accents. I think the acting in this movie is pretty good. I think everyone is bringing it. I think Michael B. Jordan is great. Chadwick Boseman is great. The only thing, and it might just be, I don't know African accents, so I'm not going to speak to it. And I remember reading that the accents for this were fictional. Like they gave everyone like an accent that they made up that was made of like multiple accents in Africa. I don't know. I didn't feel like everybody had the same accent. Especially, I think Chadwick Boseman's accent is different from everybody else's. He does not sound like he is from the same country as everybody else. I think some of the other people are fairly consistent, but it's not his accent is all over the place. It just does not match everybody else's.
I didn't get that far into it. So I don't have much to say on that. So my other thing, this felt like a movie where all the characters, maybe I'm stupid, which is fair. I drank a bunch before we watched the movie, which is fair.
You had to go to a party, so.
I had to go to a party, and I just took pictures of their house and sent them to you. And it felt like a lot of characters read the script. I didn't really feel like a lot of stuff kind of went together, and a lot of motivations were kind of flimsy at best.
I remember a lot of conversation about how this movie has the best Marvel villain since Loki, and we've talked about how we don't think Loki is really very consistent or as good as everybody remembers him. I will say, up until the final act, I can't remember what Killmonger's name was.
Eric.
Yeah, up until the final act, I think his motivations and everything are interesting and good. It's just at the end he has to turn into the villain that we fight. And then it all falls apart. And then he has, there has to be an army to fight an army. So then, like, Black Panther's best friend just has to switch sides because he's like, you didn't kill the guy who killed my pappy. I gave you one chance and that's it. And it's just, it felt like everybody just, like you said, everybody read the script. For that final, it's that final act. Like, that's the part of the movie that I really don't like. It feels like everything just kind of like slots into place so that we can have the big knockout, drag out CGI slugfest.
See, I even think, even before that, there's a lot... When Michael B. Jordan fights Chadwick Boseman, he throws him off the waterfall. And everyone's just like, man, too bad we don't have, like, crazy levitating plane technology and we could go down there and get him out of the water and give him instant healing Wakanda juice. Everyone was just like, he's dead.
To be fair, in that situation, I would say, like, everybody is immediately loyal to him because he won the battle.
But they're not. Like, his family's not. Shuri and his
family's
mother...
not, but I don't know how, like, they don't even fly.
Shuri's the one with all the tech.
They don't even fly a magic spaceship to the other kingdom. They walk there. So I would assume they can't just easily get that. Like, I get it. Shuri's the one with all the tech and everything, but at the same time, I can understand, even beyond just, like, general the story needs to happen logic, why they didn't do that.
But I don't know. I don't know how things like this work, but it was just kind of like, then Killmonger's king, and he's just like, fucking burn everything to the ground. I hate everyone. And they're all just like, okay, king.
No, I agree with that. That is something I find
everyone's
incredibly stupid.
I guess this is tradition just kind of sucks now. I have one more big picture.
Okay, go to one more big picture.
And this kind of follows in. I do not understand Wakanda.
I don't know exactly what you mean by don't understand. I didn't understand Wakanda the first time. This time I was just like, whatever, super sci-fi. And I just kind of like rolled with it.
I don't understand, like, and this kind of goes into motivations and things like that in the script logic, where, okay, so, like, they're hidden, and they keep showing, like, sheep farmers, and, like, people living in yurts, and those people, I guess, just like living in yurts.
Like, for all you know, they commute out there to do their yurt living 9 to 5,
wouldn't they just have,
and then
like...
they go back into because Wakanda exists to the world, and I think to present that facade, they have to have a third
class
world
of
country.
People.
No, but I'm saying, like, that could be a 9 to 5. Like, you could be a farmer, and it's just like you have an apartment in the Wakandan city, but you go do your,
They at least have, like, trucks and heavy machinery.
Look, I don't know. I'm not. Again,
no,
this is something where it's like I can give you an answer, and I won't be happy agree with it. But it's just like it's whatever. My big thing is I don't really understand the ape village.
Yeah, that was my next thing.
He mentions how, like, there's not a king has not gone out there, and, like, they're Wakandan, but they're not Wakandan because they're not in the Wakandan city, and they just kind of, like, apparently live in the mountains with no technology. I didn't understand, and I didn't know if, like, maybe they do have super technology and we just don't see a lot of it because it's not all over the place like in Wakanda, which is like a fully developed city, and this is more of just like, you go out to a country farm and they still got PlayStations and stuff, but they also, they have a barn. So I did not understand their village and where it stood. I don't understand Wakandan society because they present multiple tribes, and I assume they all live in Wakanda, but you learn that the ape tribe lives in the mountains, and I was like, so do these other tribes, like, are they also, like there was one of them was called, like, the White Water Tribe or River Tribe. I don't remember. There was one that was, like, flowing water. I don't remember. Something about water. I was like, do they live on the river? Do they not live in Wakanda? Or how do the tribes work? Or, there's no throwaway line that says, like, when they show up chanting at the beginning of the movie, and they're like, you haven't shown your face for 30 years, ever since your dad tried to do an uprising and we're all stormed out of town or whatever.
Yeah, when they come chanting, it just felt like that was part of their
They were
challenge.
late to the game.
Yeah, well, like
They were having their dramatic entrance.
Yeah, like, and that's what I mean about, like, I just don't understand Wakanda, where everyone's just like, yeah, Wakanda forever. Like, we're totally about us. We're not about the rest of the world. Like, we're safe because we keep each other safe. We're so insulated. And then all the insulated tribes are just like, yeah, but fuck you. We're not going up to those mountains. And you, get out there and farm sheep. And, like, everything just kind of felt so disconnected and, like, just kind of, like, haphazardly thrown together to be like, it's a super science thing, and we don't have time to figure it out.
I remember seeing a lot of stuff about people saying, like, how Wakanda is a fully developed, like, world, and I don't know. I don't want to rag on this movie, but in Guardians, it felt like a universe full of, like, stuff, and it felt lived in. In Wakanda, I had questions everywhere, and some of them are minor, and some of them are, like you said, like, there's people living in huts. And it's like I said, I could understand if it's like a 9 to 5 or, you know, like on week, off week, where we just have to, in order to give up, to present the illusion of Wakanda to the world, we have to have these people live in huts and, you know, no TVs or whatever. And then, you know, you go back, like, I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you're there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and on Sundays, Bob's out there on his own.
Why won't Shuri just invent one of her crazy realistic holograms? God damn it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, I can make up my own answers, but the movie doesn't present it. And it's not that the movie necessarily needs to, but when it's giving me this world that I'm supposed to be invested in, and it, I just don't understand where it lands.
Especially since I think they did a decent job at the beginning, kind of introducing Wakanda and saying, and like giving the origins of like the vibranium meteorite and like it's a magic rock that does literally everything. And
well, we're here. Let's jump in.
Yeah,
before
that's a good segue.
So I can do my cut, and here it is. So take it away.
I mean, the beginning is good, and I think it does a decent job at, as much as we just talked about how Wakanda doesn't make any sense, and I still believe that, the beginning does a good job at presenting the origins of Wakanda and where the Black Panther comes from and how everything kind of comes together. The problem is then it fast forwards a long time, and it's pretty much a completely different thing.
Yeah, it basically just says like Wakanda was built on a mountain of vibranium, and then they built a whole culture, and then the world grew around them. And anyway, here we are.
Here's Coruscant.
And I mean, and that's fine, because like you go from Iron Man to like Avengers and everything, and you get like the super spy tech that S.H.I.E.L.D. has, and you're just supposed to shrug and be like, okay. And that's fine. The problem is society isn't built around that tech. I can believe that, like, I don't need to know all the answers because it's all hidden by the government.
Yes.
So when it's just like, they've got super magic computer screens that you can, like, holograms and all this kind of crap, I'm just like, whatever. And with Wakanda, when they go, like, we have all this super advanced technology, and I think some of it is weird, but it's all just like, yeah, whatever. Like, they
you
got
can
super
hand wave
technology.
that comic book tech magic.
That stuff's fine, but when we get to their society, I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, they seem to have some kind of like understanding of the outside world, so they're not completely like insulated, but I don't really understand, like, do they leave and go out to the main world and come back? Do they just like, what is their society? How do they have, they mentioned that they have spies out there, but like at the end of the movie, Shuri mentions that she's never been to California. Granted, she could have gone to like, I don't know, Florida or something before, but when she makes that line, it seems to, huh?
We saw him before when he was at the...
I'm talking about general population.
Oh, I assumed that they did not, but I agree with your questions here.
I'm talking just a general pop, because
I thought you were talking like Wakanda at large.
When you see like their culture, there's a lot of modern-ish stuff there. A lot of it is future tech, but like there's just like general like styles. And granted, it's all like that African-inspired kind of stuff, but like there's like people walking around with backpacks and stuff, and it's not like they can't invent a backpack, but they look like very much like you could pick that up anywhere in America or anywhere in the world.
Well, and this is really picky, but you kind of infer that Shuri, and if Shuri doesn't know, since she's like the tech person, Wakanda doesn't know that sneakers exist.
No, I took that one specifically, and I could be wrong. I don't know their intent.
Took that as a deliberate joke that Shuri made?
Yes.
I took that as a, like, the stuff you hate, where it's like...
If that was the case, like you said, I hate it. I hate it. I thought it was her making a legitimate joke, especially the way T'Challa just kind of like looks at her and she kind of giggles at him. Like it seemed like she knew it, especially like she does that "what are those" thing. I would assume they have the internet. They've said they've seen movies, because she mentioned some movie. I don't remember which one. In fact, I think she said she based that. I think that was the thing that she said she based off of. Movie their father made him watch. I don't think she didn't know what a sneaker was.
Okay, that's how I read it.
I thought that was a joke.
I was not told that Wakandans had a sense of humor, so I did not think to go there. But no, I think a lot of these problems, I just want to touch on something you said about Iron Man and tech magic and government shield stuff. I think it's more problematic here in Black Panther because I feel like Wakanda is kind of presented as a character in itself. Like, shield is a part of those movies, but it's Nick Fury. Nick Fury is the character. Black Widow is the character. Like, shield could be anything. Whereas this, I feel like Wakanda plays a bigger role in the movie and is a character. And because it's so disjointed, I think there's a lot of, you notice those little nitpicks, you notice those little nagging questions that, again, the movie doesn't need to give us answers, but it's something that my brain won't leave. And maybe that's just my brain, maybe that's just your brain, because we kind of work a little similar.
I mean, I think you're right in that, like, if this was like S.H.I.E.L.D., where we were watching an Avengers movie and they just like show up in Wakanda, and like, we see this, we see them go through the hologram, and we see that there are huts on the outside, and then we see that there's a full developed city on the inside of the hologram, and they wander around, and it's like maybe a total of 45 minutes of a 2.5 hour runtime where they're just like at that location. But we're mostly in T'Challa's throne and whatnot, in Shuri's lab. I could just be like, yeah, they're super advanced, and I don't know the specifics, but it's not showing me it. But because it shows me,
and it cares about
it doesn't show me everything, but it shows me a lot, and enough that I start asking those questions. And this isn't completely on the movie. It doesn't need to answer everything. We could get to the next movie. I think it's going to be called Wakanda Forever. But we could get to Black Panther 2, and they could start answering these questions. But also, like, answering those questions drags the movie down. It's not important.
In an already slow movie.
But it's just something where it's just like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But as someone who thinks about things in a movie,
it really bothered me. And
that is something I thought about a whole bunch.
Yeah, it nagged at me almost the whole runtime. Anyways, we start in like the 90s, and T'Chaka is in California, and they have like spies in California.
I think they have spies just like all over the world, but one of these spies is T'Chaka's brother.
Do we know what they're spying on? And like,
I think they're just watching the outside world,
just like urban Oakland.
You know what? They could have thousands of spies, one in every city for all.
No, yeah, I know that, but it's just like, it's funny to be like,
Oakland is more of a cultural reasoning for that than this is a
you set up your spies outside this place that doesn't even have a real basketball hoop. But we learn that Black Panther's dad kills his brother to protect Forrest Whitaker. No.
Yes. Well, his brother is stealing and selling vibranium to Claw.
Oh my god, I didn't even catch that.
Really? That was like a whole big thing. What did you think he killed his brother for?
Because he pointed a gun at Forrest Whitaker.
I mean, yes, he did do...
I wholeheartedly admit that this is a me problem. Yeah, they had all the guns.
So they have like, I guess they're selling like black market weaponry, but he's the one that stole vibranium 30 years ago that they were talking about. He either gave it to Claw or assisted Claw. I think he assisted Claw in stealing it. But yeah, they kill him and just like leave him there with panther claws in his chest.
And
leave his son there.
Really,
I thought that was a very stupid decision.
Yeah, I mean, this is jumping ahead a little, but when Chadwick Boseman confronts his dad, and his dad was just like, I chose
to preserve the secret.
I chose Wakanda to preserve the secret. And I was like, what? Did you read the script? Why are you doing this?
I mean, if you want to preserve your secret and everything, take him with you.
Raise him as your own. Why would you, leave this dude with claws in his chest?
if you're going to leave the kid behind, that's pretty shitty, but, I don't know, take the corpse of his father with humanoid panther claws marks in his chest?
Yeah,
that arouses suspicion a lot.
Do you think anybody, when they all saw the Black Panther
movie
in the future, not the movie, when he shows up, I forget what movie he showed up in.
Civil War.
When he shows up in Civil War,
and in Black Panther.
Wait, no, wasn't he before Civil War? Wasn't
No,
he
was
in...
Civil. Seth,
I know I'm not good at this. What was Bucky's
I was going to say
thing?
you're well within your rights to question me, I suppose, but you have never been right when you counter what happened in what movie.
Wasn't he
is
in
Civil
Winter
War.
Soldier?
No.
Oh, okay. When they're in Civil War, do you think somebody was like, wait a minute, there's a guy with claws, and we found that guy with claws in his chest in 92?
No, I do not think anybody had that thought.
I don't think so either, but that was just a little joke. That was a little joke for the fans.
This is a serious discussion.
Hey, can I talk about something totally unrelated?
You know what? I'll allow it.
I keep thinking of this, and then I watch a whole movie and I forget. At the very beginning, the Marvel Studios logo had all the comics going through. And then they changed it to all the Avengers, which I don't care for that change. Mainly because I like the comics more than the cinematic universe. Then in this one, it's all Black Panther stuff, and it's like, some of it seemed like it was like behind the scenes stuff where they were just like on set, and they were like stills from the movie.
When that happened, I made note of it, and then I completely forgot about it till you brought it up.
Because you watched the whole movie.
This is one of the ones that I own, even though I didn't really care for it. And I wanted to pop it in and see if maybe that was a change when it made it to Disney Plus in honor of Chadwick Boseman's death. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was always all the Black Panther, but it's so weird because, like you said, I don't know if it is behind the scenes stuff, but I did have a lot of feelings where I was like, this doesn't look like some of it's from the movie you're about to watch.
It looks like do you remember at the beginning of movies, and actually before the trailer reels, when they would do like AMC's first look? That's what it seemed like. It seemed like a little eye catch for that.
I guess I don't know if it was always the Black Panther stuff or what, and because I would feel like if it was changed for Boseman, then it probably would have said something
like
rather than just. Those clips are very strange, like completely on their own, especially because every Marvel like lives off of the fact that like you start up the movie and it shows all the Avengers so that you know it's part of the Marvel Cinematic Hubbaloo. But anyway,
that's all I have to say about that.
We get a little bit to see Black Panther take out some smugglers. I assume, like human traffickers,
militia people. Like,
well, it looked like human traffickers because they grabbed because
they trafficked humans.
And that we get to see a bunch of the future tech. I think the sand stuff doesn't make it, like the weird 3D projected sand stuff doesn't make any sense, but it's fun. So I don't mind it, but it's a lot of like, I don't understand how most of this works. And you don't have to, because it's all like future magic science crap, so it doesn't have to explain how it works, it just works. I think that stuff's kind of fun, and we get like a fun little scene where he attacks a bunch of... I will say this movie was way easier to follow on my TV here than in the theater, where I could not see anything. Remember
this one was very dark, and I think it's supposed to be.
I had no problem this time, but watching it in a theater, I remember during that whole not opening scene, but that first scene with the Black Panther in the dark taking out a bunch of guys, I could not tell what the fuck was going on, and I remember the fight between both Black Panthers not being able to tell what was going on. This time, I had much easier time following on my TV than in theater. I also say, as much as I didn't care for this movie a whole lot the first time I saw it, it was one of the best theater going experiences I had because it was the only movie I ever saw where I was the only person in the theater. It was
I've
great.
always wanted that.
It was amazing.
I got really close. Me and some friends went and saw Be Kind Rewind. It was like just getting ready to start, and then like 3 people walked in.
I've had that happen a couple times where I'm like the only person, or well, me and whoever I'm with. But this one, like, I went to go see it by myself. I think I went like Saturday morning, like very first showing. I think like a week or 2 after it came out, because it was one that I wasn't able to see premiere night. This was the first one I didn't see at a premiere, and like no one was there. It was like a 8 a.m. matinee or something, and I don't think it was 8 a.m., like 10 a.m., whatever. It was like the very first showing, and it was great. No one was there. I got to put my feet up on the seat in front of me.
So excellent. You were right. I looked it up. Disney Plus has updated the Marvel logo introduction to Black Panther in honor of what would have been Chadwick Boseman's 44th birthday. Disney Plus redesigned the Marvel logo intro to Black Panther to honor Boseman on November 29th. So don't I feel like a dick for calling that out? Because that's a nice thing to do.
I don't know if you were calling it out. It's noticeable,
especially when you watch them week to week.
every single one is, look at all the Avengers. There's that every single one has that shot of Captain America throwing his shield at you.
Yeah, and this one had
doesn't.
Like Chadwick
and like
Boseman.
You said, some of them felt like weird home movie.
Yeah,
clips.
Like behind the scenes stuff. But that's nice. That's great. I'm glad they did that.
I just figured it would have said his name or something.
Yeah,
that's what I was waiting for it to like fade to black and then say like in memory of.
Yeah,
and it never did. And so I was like, maybe it's always been like this, and they were just like super excited for this movie.
Also, in my search There's just a question that says, who can replace Chadwick Boseman as the Black Panther? And I read that as like, I mean, who could do that? Not like who is available to replace him, just like who could. Anyways, let's see where were we? We've been jumping around.
We were at this opening bit with the Black Panther. I will say, as much as I was able to follow what was going on this time, all the muzzle flashes from the guns firing at the Black Panther were giving me a headache.
I actually weirdly didn't get disoriented in this one, or at least as much as I still think the plane is the worst for me. Well, maybe not, but that's the one I always remember.
I think it helps that outside of that opening bit, almost in the car chase, almost the entirety of the movie takes place during the day. Mm-hmm. So it's very brightly lit, which makes a lot of that CGI nonsense
noticeable,
less frustrating and headache inducing.
But at least this one with the traffickers, it felt deliberate.
So Black Panther shows up, struts his stuff, gets to do a bunch of fun super nonsense, fights a bunch of people, and then Nakia is a spy. I think she's fun.
Here's my problem with Nakia. She's fun, but I feel like the movie thinks she's more of a character than she is.
I will say, much like how it introduces Wakanda and just assumes that Wakanda is a living, breathing thing, that it is, but it doesn't explain it. Nakia is introduced as like a living, breathing part of T'Challa's past, but we never
She's like an ex-lover. And
we
at
learned,
the end,
yeah, that she's an ex, but we have no I don't understand why. I assume maybe it was her spy stuff kept her away. It's you don't know who ended the relationship.
But I'm a senator
or him. She's fun. She's everybody in this movie is competent. You get to watch you're not watching people just like running around screaming. Everybody is doing stuff. Everybody participates in the action scenes, and that's better than most of these movies do so far. But it's also like I didn't really understand who she was. She was just another person to be there to do stuff.
I think between Nakia, Shuri, and Okoye, like Shuri was the one that I felt was a character. Like you said at the beginning,
but
she
actually
like
gets the fewest number of scenes.
Yes. But I think they utilize that time well, effectively. And Okoye is kind of one note, which is fine. She's just like the military leader, but she doesn't really lead the military. She's just like, I mean, she does, but I don't really feel like
it is unclear if the Dora Milaje have a ranking system, and she's like a high rank. I assume she is.
They call her like captain at one point.
Yeah, I guess.
But she kind of does her own thing.
She's sitting in like the round table and stuff, but it also seems like she's just like T'Challa's best pal's wife and also his other best pal. And so she just kind of like tags along. Is unfair, but yeah, she's just like always around because he's just like, hey, come check this out. And she just like, I don't really understand their ranking. Like when she turns on evil Black Panther at the end, like all the Dora Milaje do. Same thing with like her husband when he's like, hey, we're gonna go fuck up the old Black Panther, and all of his friends are just like, yeah, whatever, full-blown war.
I love a good war. But yeah, since she's one note, it doesn't bother me as much. But Nakia, I always felt like I was missing something.
I think it's something that the movie doesn't really explain what her deal is. We're not told why she and T'Challa aren't together. We don't really get enough to truly infer that. They don't really get a lot of scenes together.
Well, and at the end, they kiss, and I'm just like, this isn't earned. Like,
to be fair, no kiss in these movies has really been earned.
Right, but I feel like the only bit of their relationship I felt like we got was T'Challa's buddy saying, I see you're with Nakia again, and he's just like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
end scene.
Yeah, like, they don't really have a lot of scenes together. They don't really, like, have moments. It's just something like at the beginning, somebody mentions Nakia is an ex, and he's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. And then they make out at the end. Anyways, Shuri shows him Black Panther suits and the sneakers.
Well, technically, before that, don't we have the ceremonial battle?
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, I was thinking, I'm kind of looking through a plot synopsis, and I just saw Shuri and present day.
So there's like because T'Challa his father T'Chaka died, so T'Challa is now going to become king. But before he can officially become king, there is like a ceremonial battle,
ritual,
like a challenge. Combat. Yeah, where any of the other tribes, of which there's like 5 or 6, I think. There's the Panther tribe, there's the Ape tribe, and
there's
then
the guy with that goddamn lip gauge.
There's 2, 3. So the thing that I always took away from him is he's always wearing that green suit that I kept thinking of the Riddler.
All I could see is that lip gauge. They even show him in like the background, and he's like his blurred.
There's a couple people with that though. They're in Africa.
I'm not saying they're not. His was just like bright green, and it was like
He matches it with his suit, which was always...
He was like it was very prominent, and it was he was like the prominent one that I felt like I always saw.
But there's a couple different tribes, and apparently when the new king, before the new king is crowned, I don't know. So this is another thing where, much like Wakanda in general, I feel like it gives you enough information to connect the dots if you need to, or at least enough information to understand what's going on, but not enough that it holds up to any real scrutiny, at least with the information given. So when someone is about to become king, there is a trial by combat, or a proposal for a trial by combat. He does not have to fight anyone. It's the other.
He asks anybody for challengers.
Yeah, and it seems like, I don't know if anyone can challenge. Shuri raises her hand at one point as like a joke, and I don't know if she could have actually challenged him, or if it's just like because when it's presented before she does that, it's each tribe
says they do not have a challenger.
But they have a challenger nominated, and that challenger, like, is it M'Baku?
Yes,
M'Baku is the leader of his tribe, but the other ones are not. They are just, the leaders say like, our challenger will not contest. So T'Challa is stripped of his powers, which, until this movie happened, I didn't know Black Panther had powers. I just thought he had a super tech suit. Even in the comics, I'm not very fluent in Black Panther, but there's like a heart-shaped herb, they call it, that is like a glowing purple herb that I guess has vibranium. Vibranium is everything. Like, vibranium
is food.
Is a miracle.
Yeah, it's
whatever.
It is the most MacGuffin. It's not just, it's the MacGuffin.
It's not just metal. It is like whatever it needs to be. They strip him of his powers so that he can do this battle. And it seems to be that if someone else wins the battle, they now become king. They get to imbibe in the juice of the herb, and then they become the new Black Panther. But he is specifically the Panther tribe. So if M'Baku got it, would he just
be the black gorilla?
Would he also be a Black Panther? Would he get a gorilla? Would Shuri have to make him a gorilla suit? Would he just wear that gorilla mask he wore before? How does this all work? T'Challa has that herb before he becomes king.
He was Black Panther before he becomes king.
But that's what I'm saying, is like, the Black Panther seems to be a kingly thing, but T'Chaka is too old for it, so his son becomes king. So it could be just like the prince takes it, or, the king nominates
the able person,
a successor to take the mantle when he is no longer fit for duty as the Black Panther. But like, I don't know, like, he gives him the power, and I'm like, isn't that a king thing? Like, did T'Chaka still drink that? Were they both drinking the fluid at the like? Did T'Chaka still have powers? He was just an old man. Like, it doesn't care, because it doesn't matter. Like, the plot doesn't care about this at this point, and that's fine. But again, when this is what we do, we sit here and nitpick and think about things. Like, I was thinking about that the whole fucking movie, where I was just like, did his dad also have powers? Because much like how vibranium is just a miracle, whatever the hell they need it to be, this stuff like brings T'Challa back from the dead. He gets mortally stabbed, or well, he gets not mortally stabbed. He gets stabbed in the fight at the beginning, and then they give him the juice and everything, and he's just like, I'm in tip-top shape. And same thing at the end of the movie, he basically almost dies, and then they give him the juice, and he's just like, I am ready to fight another battle. Let's fucking go. Give me an army.
They put the little prayer bead in Martin Freeman's wound, and then the spine is healed.
To be fair, his spine isn't healed. He's just not going to die immediately.
But
then they put a different magical prayer bead in his spine, and it's healed.
But I didn't think of his father being super strong. Like, my hang up here was the similar, why is he doing all this stuff if he was Black Panther? Like, because the movie, like, you don't have a lot of
Black Panther knowledge.
So, for all I know, this is real. But the Black Panther always, I guess, he was just a superhero. And then when Wakanda was a thing, I just felt like he was like Wakanda's protector. But now he's like king. Like, the king is the Black Panther. And when you tie the Black Panther in with the king, you get all these questions and problems that you're bringing up here, where it's just like, wait, what if another tribe wins? What if, like, was the old king super strong, and why was the prince Black Panther? And then they have to, I guess they give him, they take away his superpowers for a fair fight, and then just give it back to him.
And like I said, I could be misremembering it, but it seems like they nominate champions to fight, not necessarily. Actually, they do say something that, does anyone of royal blood? So maybe those champions are princes?
I know that was something about,
because that's when Shuri raises her hand.
Killmonger. was like, oh, but he's royal blood. And then everyone's like, well, we can't do anything about that. He just burned our crops.
I don't know. I just have like all these questions about it and how it works. Like, what exactly does the herb give him? Much like, what does vibranium do? It's
Whatever you
all
want.
like, it doesn't matter because the movie continues on without it. But at the same time, I spent the whole movie just
Thinking about it.
questioning.
That's what this whole
things.
movie was for me too. Just like the back of my brain nagging me and being like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. So with this ritual combat, I thought it was fine. Whatever. I will say, and I think this is where, unless you don't want to do it now, this is where I can talk about the CGI and the green screen, because I think it's painfully obvious here.
I didn't notice it here.
I did. Maybe it's not. It felt so. Maybe it's just like the Wakanda filter where everything just kind of feels oversaturated and like, I don't know. It felt fake. It didn't feel like on location. It could have been. Could have just been post-processing effects.
I didn't feel that there. I felt it during the end, but the moment that I was specifically speaking of is one tiny thing, and it's a little bit away. But no, I didn't really notice it. I had some confusion as to where exactly this was taking place. Like, it's on these cliffs, but there's a thing before they do that where the Dora Milaje, like,
Open up a
I think
drain.
they all like pound their staffs and it sends like vibranium vibrations through the water that open up a drain that then drains and I was like, part of it is I'm sure if I rewatched it maybe I could have figured it out, but I was like watching like the thing travel underwater and then it opens up a drain and I was like, okay, it's draining something, and then the next thing I know there's like a cliff and I was like, wait, was that not a cliff before? Was that just like one big huge lake and these drains just like turned it into a cliff? That seems to imply what's happening, but that makes no sense.
I
don't
do
understand
not
how
believe that is what
works.
happened. My argument is they just stopped that part of the waterfall from going so that you could see the cliff edge. Because you can see the other, like, the waterfall's on the other side and stuff. But
Yeah, I wasn't. The implication I got, and I think yours might be better. The implication I got that it was like a parting of the
they
Red
just
Sea
raised this huge
sort of
cliff
thing.
face for the. Who knows? It's vibranium, baby.
Yeah, I mean, for all I know, vibranium can just be like, and we opened up this little cliff area in the giant lake, whatever. But yeah,
Long story short, he's Black Panther.
bada bing, bada boom. I like the whole like talking. I like the mysticism stuff, the super technology mysticism stuff. It doesn't make a lick of sense. I like it.
It's funny. I was thinking of Doctor Strange and how I don't remember. I don't remember any of this stuff. I thought we were kind of talking in Doctor Strange about how it was weird that like this tech magic stuff and like.
Yeah, I hate it.
And I felt like that's what this was for me. This was like super crazy tech, and it's another weird thing where in a pocket universe, sure, and I get they kind of are a pocket universe, but it was just kind of like this out of everything we've seen. Even when we saw freaking stasis chambers on Asgard, this was the most techno-magic we've ever seen.
I don't know. For this, I think part of it is just the fact that it is technology, and so I was just like, yep, it's technology. And it's only out of place when compared to like Avengers and everything, but like when you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, nothing that they do here would be out of place on any of those alien planets.
And I guess the problem is that I can suspend disbelief on an alien planet.
Like you said, in a pocket universe, I think this is it's a little, and part of it is just the fact that it's like, now they're doing comic book stuff. And so they're just like, fuck it, comic book stuff. And they're throwing caution to the wind. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. But for me to I'm embracing it as much as I can, which is enough to just be like, if this is what it wants to do, and that's fine.
I think it's late.
But for my brain to do it, it's a little too much too late, where I'm just like, whoa, Tony Stark built like a iron suit out of like, he just like welded a bunch of pieces of metal
like
together and put a flamethrower
grades.
in it. And I mean, like, hey, these people, like, Tony Stark does not need to be the smartest person on the planet. That is not my point of contention here. It is just like, up until this point, it's been like slowly increasing from like, I built a robot suit to like, hey, holograms, and Nick Fury has a car with a turret that pops out of the driver's seat, to like full on like spaceships. And like I said, the magic sand thing where he can like pick up a car, like it shows him all the trucks in a line, he picks it up and he like takes off the roof and he can see who's in there, and it highlights one of the people yellow. And that's what I'm talking about, where it's like, it doesn't make a lick of sense. And part of me is just like, I don't understand this, but I was able to just like shut off my brain and be like, whatever. But I will say, like, when you look at it in the rest of the Marvel universe, you're like, where does this stand? And when you get to
and a lot of the weapons I felt were
nonsense.
were a lot of techno magic.
Again, I just was like, it's technology. And it's not like, for me, it wasn't techno magic so much as just like this technology is way too advanced, too fast compared to the world as and granted, like, they are supposed to disrupt the world as we understand it, but at the end of this movie, when they're like, Wakanda's no longer living in the shadows and we're going to share our technology with everybody, you get to the later movies, it has no effect on the world. No one like, people know what Wakanda is and they name drop it, but it doesn't, the world is no more advanced or anything.
Well, and you bring up a good point about, if this wasn't Guardians of the Galaxy, I wouldn't bat an eye, because I can sit there and be like, they're space aliens, whatever, but vibranium is just too magic for me.
It does literally what, like we said, it does whatever they want it to do.
And it's something that, like, to go with the alien technology, like, it feels like alien technology, but it's Earth, so I have that weird dissonance there. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but, like, I think at the end, it starts to feel like a Star Wars movie.
I don't disagree.
And I know there's, like, countless comparisons between, like, the Battle of Naboo and the Battle of Wakanda. And I think they look very similar. But it just was something like, there's spaceships flying around, they're all in, like, the grassland, they all have blue energy shields and stuff, and it's just like, it feels so alien because it's just like watching Star Wars at that point.
But like, what I was specifically talking about before we went off on this little tangent was the spiritualism of, like, the herb gives you visions, and, like, it could literally just be a vision, but where we're going in the Marvel universe now, like I said, it seems to just be like, we're just kind of going for it.
He
not
saw
as hard
his
as the
dead
comics
father.
do.
Like,
but it seems to be like he literally is speaking to the spirits of
Yes.
past Black Panthers, which again, apparently no one has ever defeated or attempted to defeat a Black Panther in combat, and so it has only been Black Panthers. What if it was all those panthers in a tree and then there was just like one ape, and it was just like, that was the first one, and the Black Panthers took over and kicked him out of town, and that's why they all live in the mountains.
Don't talk to Steve, he sucks.
But like, that stuff, I kind of like that stuff. I think those are the most, like, those 3 scenes where someone drinks the magic juice and has visions, I think those are the 3 most interesting scenes in the movie.
I had a problem with Michael B. Jordan's just because it broke the rules that I was understanding. Because in he's like a kid, and he's like, it seems like he's in the past.
I don't disagree. His was something confusing where I couldn't understand if he was having a memory or not.
At one point, I legitimately thought the vibranium sent him back in time, like an out-of-body experience to his child self. And like when he was a kid, he didn't find the notebook, but now he did. And like, he knows this stuff because he knows the Wakanda stuff.
It seems to imply that he found it as
I believe that's it.
And then I was like, did he find it as a kid while his dad was still alive? But then his dad was like, I'm dead. And I was like, oh, I guess this is and it's one of those things where, like, the talks with T'Challa and T'Chaka are literally like tiny little exposition and like motivation dumps. Mm-hmm. Whereas Michael B. Jordan's is like a convenient way to get a flashback out.
Yes.
Without having to like disrupt the movie to do a flashback. So it's like a vision plus a flashback. So it's memory and also not memory. And it just like is whatever the movie needs it to be. So is it literal or not? Maybe some of it. I don't know. Like, I didn't care. Like, once that like, I went in going like, this is a memory, and then it shifts, and then I was like,
this is whatever it wants to be.
When he walks in, I was like, okay, this is like his spirit land is not the tree, because he
doesn't know the tree,
and so instead he's going to his pap. Then he gets the book out, and then he turns into a little kid, and I was like, okay, so this is a memory, and his dad's there, and I was like, so he found this when his dad was still alive.
And his dad was like, I'm dead.
And then his dad's dead, and I was like, okay, so this is vision? And I was just like, when the movie swerved, I swerved with it, and I just
held on for dear life.
My neck hurt a little bit. I was just like, whatever. I was confused about how he had the like weird holographic tattoo, but his dad does say like, I gave you a key. Anyway, that's all the explanation we need for that. And I was like, how did you like...
What is the key? Is that another ritual, or is like is Wakanda just born with it? Like,
I don't think they're born with it, but I assume he tattooed him. But like, did he do it when he was a kid? Did he do it when he was a baby? How do they do it? And it's just one of those things that's like, don't ask these questions. We don't care. These are not the questions you're supposed to ask. It's future tech.
You're asking the wrong questions, because the right questions are supposed to be when he reveals that. You're supposed to be like, what? And then later, that's like the answer. The movie treats that as an answer instead of a question, which is how we treat it.
I felt like it was weird that like when Michael B. Jordan wants to go to Wakanda and he's telling Claw, and he's like, what do you need at Wakanda or whatever? And he like pulls that lip thing down, and then Claw's like, oh my God, what? One, Does Claw know about that? Like, I know he knows about Wakanda, but how many of those people were showing him their lip?
No, he was going for the lips. Claw was a big Wakanda kisser.
And two, like, I felt like that was too early to show. Like, they show us that, and it's supposed to be like, oh my gosh, what's up with that? Even though it's very clear
obvious who
that
Killmonger is.
But it's also weird because it, like, when he comes in and T'Challa's like, I know who you are, and he's like, tell him who I am, and he's like, I'm not gonna do it.
I hated
and
that.
then there's like all this back and forth and tension, and then he starts shouting. That also feels like it's supposed to be a reveal scene where you're supposed to be like, oh my god, he's the prince, and it's like, yeah, we knew this.
Yeah.
But it felt like a reveal scene when he's shouting at the rest of the team. I mean,
it.
it's a reveal for everybody else in the room, but it was something where I was just like, I feel like you should have cut out, like the audience is smart enough to figure that out, but a lot of them aren't. And I feel like that's a better moment of reveal than like, look at my lip. Instead, he's just like, everyone's like, he's an outsider until he's like, I'm not an outsider. Boom, roasted. And it's like, what? Shocker.
No, it was Claw.
But anyway.
I do agree that the astral plane stuff, I did like the stuff with his father, especially the second one, where he kind of yells at him. Chris and I were talking about that. Like, that's a really interesting thing to me, is T'Challa kind of coming to terms with, like, my father wasn't a great king like I thought he was. He wasn't doing things like how I think they should be done. Like, I think those are all interesting plot lines to follow.
It's a better version than what Iron Man 2 did.
Yes. And, like, Chris and I were saying, maybe we're just simple, maybe it's Marvel fatigue, maybe it's just like, that's not what these movies are. But it's kind of annoying, might not be the right word, but you get these scenes where Chadwick Boseman's just like, you weren't a great king. You did bad things. You did things that I am trying to clean up now. Like, I'm trying to lead Wakanda, and, you know, he even has that good scene, I forget who he's with and what he's talking about, where he's just like, you know, I'm the king of my people. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's a really good scene where he, like, somebody's arguing with him, and he's just like, you gotta be like, whatever. And he's just like, no, like...
I have a faint memory of what you're talking about. I don't remember who it was.
I guess it wasn't that good of a scene.
The only one I can think of is the scene with Okoye, where she says something about, like... Actually, maybe you're thinking of... There's that conversation between Okoye and Nakia, where they both say something about, like, Okoye is a warrior for the king, and Nakia says, like, she's the spy for the people or something. I don't remember.
It doesn't matter.
There's some kind of like similar kind
It wasn't
of
that
conversation.
interesting, I guess. But like with a lot of these Marvel movies, there's always these little nuggets that I'm just like, man, this is the movie I want to watch. Like this kind of royal turmoil movie. But then the Marvel execs have to sit there and be like, what about Evil Black Panther? When are you gonna fight Evil Black Panther? And it's like, damn it. I just want like this cool stuff of just like coming to terms that the past king, your father, isn't great, and you have to like make amends for that, and, you know, unite your tribes and do all this stuff, and like that's way more interesting than just culminating into just like, look, it's the Black Panther, but evil. Do you want to get to Shuri's Q scene? Do you have anything to talk about there?
I don't know. That was back when I thought the movie was a different type of movie, and it's showing off a bunch of tech.
Here's my only problem with it, and you kind of touched on it. None of it matters.
You say none of it. I disagree. Part of it is it's the rule of threes, so you have to have three pieces of technology. And so you have the driving simulator thing, you have the sneakers, and you have the suit. And the holographic thing is used a lot in the movie. Mm-hmm. It's used at least twice. The suit is important mostly because they're like, we need to have you take off your mask a whole bunch of times. We already established in Civil War that you have a physical helmet that you got to take off. So we upgraded that so that you have a super tech suit, which I despise. I actually also I really like clicking off like that Power Ranger helmet. Like I got to click it off, and there's something aesthetically pleasing to me about that. Like physically pulling off a big stupid helmet that just like having it like fizzle in and out is stupid to me. I don't like it.
I think the problem with the helmet is they like can't talk with it on. Like every time they talk, they have to be like, we got to show the faces. And it's just like, ugh, why would they bother with that?
I also don't like how like the helmet has white eyes, but there are several scenes where you can see his eyes through it and it looks fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it establishes he has a new suit that can do the things that they need to do to show his face, and also that there are two of them so that you don't have to wonder why there's a second suit, even though it would be completely plausible for her to just make more than one suit so that he has spares. But it also makes it very easy for her to just like, I put this necklace on you, and now you got like, I can carry the suit in a pocket, as opposed to in Civil War, if I remember properly, he had like a briefcase that he had to like pull it out of, because I think I remember it like in the suit. or in the briefcase with its like arms. No, maybe I'm thinking of the Spider-Man suit in Homecoming when it pops up and its arms are folded. Whatever. He has a physical suit that I'm pretty sure he takes out of a briefcase.
I guess with the Black Panther suits, like we see Shuri take one, or take his, I guess. And we also see a scene where she has like a secret tabletop, like a false table, and so she hid tech.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, after Killmonger takes power, Shuri and Okoye and Nakia all like get the secret tabletop thing that like lowers.
That's where the extra suit is.
Is it? Because I kept wondering.
No, like the extra Dora Milaje suit.
Yeah, and then like her little Panther guns.
Yeah, I didn't remember that as a secret table, but yeah,
it does
right.
lower.
I just remember that was there and they grabbed
because
it.
It's like a thing where it's like, oh, that's why Killmonger doesn't have them.
Oh, I just thought of it as like to me. Just the way it read, that was the same as them opening a cabinet. Like it's not like he raided the facilities, as I understood it.
And I guess like to me, with his Black Panther suit, is that like he had to have raided the facilities because he has their like spaceships.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess like it's not like he went rooting through all the cupboards in the tech. Like he's been king for like 6 hours. It's not like he was like rooting through all the cupboards and be like, give me all that sweet tech.
I just wondered why Shuri didn't take both Panther suits or like put it in a better spot than just like on the mannequin.
Was that before or after he got the suit? Because as soon as he got the powers was when they put the other necklace on him, I thought.
Does Shuri make the ritual necklace? Who made the ritual necklace before Shuri?
Oh, not the ritual necklace. I'm saying like I thought they put like when he came out of the.
But that's what I mean. If that's part of the ritual.
When Killmonger came out of the sand, I thought they put the necklace on.
That's what I mean. Like if that's part of the ritual, is giving him the suit.
I honestly don't know.
I didn't like... They do this big thing about the absorption of the ballistic force and how, like, he can expend it. And he does, but I never felt it was in a good climactic way. Like, to me, that was a weird Chekhov's gun where she's like, hey, you can do this cool thing. And I was like, okay, he's gonna... Like, that's gonna be a big thing where someone's gonna just be wailing on him. He's gonna be like, you don't know half of it, buddy. And then he's gonna do that. And he doesn't really...
It doesn't matter, and it's also inconsistent. Like,
plus it feels cheap. He could just get shot at, and every time he gets shot, it's like when kids are playing with action figures, and they're just like,
"Oh yeah,
oh, but since you shot at my guy, he's stronger now, and he can let loose all that damage that you thought you were doing." And it's like, go home.
Yeah, I agree. It's inconsistent because there's that part when Killmonger shows up to steal Claw, they throw a grenade in, and T'Challa jumps on top of it, and it blows up, and he's just like, that ain't shit, because it absorbed everything. But then he runs outside and jumps at Killmonger, and Killmonger like shoots him with a rocket launcher, and he gets knocked back, which makes sense. It's not like he wouldn't still be knocked back, and especially he was in the air, so he has no
momentum and all that stuff.
But it specifically like cuts out the sound, like his ears are ringing, and he's like dizzy. And that's when he like looks and sees the necklace with the ring on it. But he's like dizzy and he's just like, whoa, that really took me out. And I was like, but why though? Like you jumped on a grenade. Like you stuck your chest on it and that was nothing. You immediately just got up and went running. But this guy basically does the same damage to you. And you're just like, oh, that was too much.
Well, I was getting hung up on like, okay, fine. Vibranium suit. Got it. You're invulnerable. Great. Hate it. But then on Wakanda, where everybody has vibranium weapons... It's still, like, invulnerable. And, like, Claw shoots its little vibranium laser beam at him, and that kind of, if I remember right, that kind of affects him.
The Sonic stuff does.
And I'm like, okay.
But Claw doesn't matter in the movie. That's just to establish that the Sonic stuff would do that.
I know, I hate this Claw stuff.
Which is stupid, because you already get a bit where they talk about the new magnetic train thing and the Sonic stabilizers because the vibranium is too unstable to travel at such high speeds.
It's so magic,
yada,
it's just
yada.
not this. But I just thought there was a lot of inconsistencies in it, in that big battle at the end, where I was just like, when Killmonger's fighting the Dora Milaje, it's just like, his suit's not, yeah, it's vibranium, but so are their weapons. So why don't they matter? And, like, it was all weird to me. But do you want to get into this Claw stuff? I actually hate all of this Claw stuff. I was really hoping for fun Claw stuff, and I did not get it.
Yeah, so Claw assists Killmonger in stealing, I think it was like an axe or a hammer. I think it was an axe from a museum because it's made out of vibranium.
I forgot about this scene. That was so dumb.
And Killmonger also steals a mask. I didn't mind this stuff. It was just like your standard criminal.
I had a nitpicky thing with when Michael B. Jordan's there and he like asks for a person to tell him about these things. And he's just like, hey, what's this? And she's like, that's an ancient mask. And he's like, what's this? She's like, that's like an ancient mask. And I was like, buddy, I've been to a museum. They have placards that say that stuff. I know it's a movie thing.
As a nitpick thing, I get it. But it's one of those nitpick things that I don't care about because I'm just like, I don't know. It's a movie thing to show that, like, so that he can have that reveal of,
him
like,
poisoning her.
One, you don't want your audience to have to read plaques, and you don't want to hear a character read the plaques out loud. Two, you want to have that thing where he, turns the tables and he's like, oh, that's not actually this. It's Wakandan. I know about Wakanda. And then the audience is like, what?
Just have her be giving like a lecture thing. Boom. Hit me up, Paul Feig.
That's fine. But what's the difference? This shows that he's also, like, it seems to be that, like, that all implies that he is wealthy. Like, it seems to imply that he specifically requests her because he is of some kind of, like, stature that the museum would care to indulge him.
It was just something that I was like, she is not telling him anything that he wouldn't already be able to know.
It's also just a setup so that they can drug her drink and be like, look at our big heist that we plan that we don't have to explain how it works because the movie can just move on from it. But it's fine. Like, it's fun enough. Again, like I said, like, this is where my brain was in. We're watching a spy movie. We got the tech scene, and now we got this scene where the criminals are stealing Wakandan stuff.
It was, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, it was fine. That was my nitpicky thing. I was thinking of it. And I liked the little reveal that the medics were Claw cronies and stuff, and Claw himself, and I'm going to let you go. And then he shoots him in the back, and you're like, whoa, Claw is a mean man. That was all good. But
they steal this stuff specifically so that Claw can then sell the vibranium to the CIA because they were the highest bidder. And so we go to Korea.
Oh, and Michael B. Jordan gets his Killmonger mask that he doesn't wear.
Yeah, he wears it.
Once.
He wears it when they capture Claw, and then they don't care anymore because we don't care about masks. And if you wear a mask, you can't see the actors act.
Why get the actor if we're just gonna put him in a freaking mask? Think, Mark. Think.
Especially since they established that everybody wears the dumb masks for their super battle at the beginning, because M'Baku is wearing an ape mask and T'Challa is wearing a panther mask, and they're like kind of like wooden carved tribal masks, and they're actually really cool looking. And so it would make sense for him to wear his Killmonger mask during that battle against T'Challa.
But then you have to keep it on during a choreographed action scene.
Well, both of them got knocked off in the first fight, so you could wear it so that it could be like a cool first 30 seconds of the fight, and then it gets knocked off and whatever.
You keep saying M'Baku. Is that the bad guy from Zoolander?
I have no idea.
It was M'Batu. Do you think they named him after him? After Will Ferrell's character in Zoolander? Anyways, the casino is fun, and I think there's a lot of fun camera work there.
Yeah, like I said, that I was still in spy mode for this, so I was just like, this is neat. Like, there's nothing truly interesting. T'Challa is a terrible spy who makes a bet at a table and immediately leaves, and then he wins, and it's like, that's not a good way to stay undercover, dude. That's only going to draw attention. But like, that's all fun, and that's what I was hoping the movie would be, but the movie pulls a bait and switch, and then it's just like, nope, it's another big dumb superhero movie.
That's what these all are, big dumb superhero movies.
It turns into a big old battle, and they fight, and I mean, that's fine. You get to see T'Challa like jump up onto a second floor, and the battles, whatever. There's some fun choreographed fighting and a lot of neat stuff going on. But then it turns into a car chase, which again it's full of neat ideas. You got T'Challa in his Panther suit riding on top of a car that is being remote controlled all the way back in Wakanda by Shuri, and she's got like this holographic Super Saiyan thing for the car, and it's detecting people. And
Okoye and
other
Nakia
cars
are in a vibranium car. Did they like take that to Hong Kong?
That's what they drove up in, I think. But like, yeah, all that stuff is fun in theory, but it's just a big stupid chase scene where everybody's shouting stuff and flipping things. And I said how much I liked when Bucky like drags his metal arm on the ground riding a motorcycle. No, but when T'Challa is like, "Hey, I'm gonna drag my kitty cat claws on the street to
put you on two
flip
wheels."
Our cars," that was stupid. But I was also just like, I don't care about this chase scene. It just goes on forever.
Here's my talking point. I was debating making this my sentence or less. A lot of this movie felt like a video game. And I think some of it is, like I said, the CGI. But this like car chase felt like I was watching a YouTube gameplay video. And then at the end, when he's fighting evil Black Panther, I was like, this is fucking Mortal Kombat. I'm watching Mortal Kombat. Like, this is so dumb. And then, like I said, when they're doing the Naboo fight, I'm just like, oh my god, this is just a video game. And then you like see Martin Freeman in the cockpit.
Press X to deploy troops.
And I'm just like, I'm playing a fucking video game. This is so stupid.
I did like, and again, it looks like a big video game because it's just like CGI all over the place. But I did like the one bit where he gets knocked off of the car and then he like runs across a building. But that's just because it was like a fun, like 10-second superhero gimmick. But then I don't know. He catches up to Claw, and then his mask doesn't have white eyes anymore for some reason because they decided that while he can't take the helmet off, he's still got to show his eyes so he can act, but it just looks fucking stupid. And I don't know. He tears off Claw's arm, and then this is where the CGI was the most noticeable for me. When Claw is being held in the interrogation room, his one missing arm, the like sleeve, looks horrible.
Yes, he is definitely wearing a green arm.
Some of it looks like they half-assed a flaccid sleeve, and some of it looks like they just edited out his arm, and they didn't bother to make that sleeve not look like there was an arm still in there. But it looks bad either way. Like, it doesn't match the rest of him. It looks like a half-finished CGI thing. It looks really stupid.
It's definitely a green arm cast.
And I mean, if that's where you're going to cut corners, that's the one place you got to put all your CGI into the big battle at the end. So if you're going to cut corners,
like
that's a good place to do it. But that's all I was staring at it the whole time. I was just like, that looks so bad. And that's got to be one of the easiest things to do.
I didn't like Claw's jokes. I didn't like him in the interrogation room.
Yeah, he's just kind of annoying.
Yeah, I didn't like when Martin Freeman went in the interrogation room. T'Challa had to put like the recording device on him so that he could hear. And I was like, why wouldn't you hear what's in the interrogation room?
I agree. And I guess that is specifically just like, we got to have our cool spy tech where we have one up on, like, the Black Panther has to have one up on the American government. Like, and that's fine.
It doesn't make sense.
It wouldn't be outside of a James Bond movie where there's an interrogation happening in a room that he's watching through a one-way mirror.
You're supposed to be able to hear it from there. That's why you have the one-way mirror. Who cares if people are on the other side if you can only see them and you can't hear them? Killmonger breaks him out. Martin Freeman takes a bullet for Nakia.
Do we even see that happen, or did we just come back? I just remember coming back and he was laying on the floor.
I think maybe. It's also kind of, I think it was shaky here. We might have. I honestly don't remember. Then Killmonger gives him the finger, and
they take Ross back to Wakanda to heal him with super magic. Sorry, super tech magic, super tech nonsense.
How about comics, everybody? This is like, remember when I asked you about Spider Island and you were like, oh, well, this stupid thing happened and this stupid thing happened? And I was like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, okay, buy that.
And like I said, like, I kind of turned on this movie during the car chase, but the first time through, I was still kind of on board where it's like, you know, Killmonger and Claw got away, and now they're going to have to hunt them down. And again, the movie thinks it's clever by doing a little switcheroo, and honestly, like, maybe it is clever. It's just not the movie I care about.
I think it was confusing. And again, maybe it's just because I'm an idiot. I didn't
find it confusing. I just found I did not care about Killmonger's plan, or Killmonger's motivations are fine and interesting. Unfortunately, the movie I was interested in was the globetrotting spy movie with a superhero lead. And instead, it sets up that movie, and then right when it's like at the point where they're like, all right, we're going to go find a new buyer for this. And, you know, in your typical James Bond spy movie, it'd be like, we got to find out who the new buyer is. We got to figure out where they're going and how to cut them off, or else they're going to sell this super metal to an arms dealer who's going to blow up all of Canada. And it's like, we're you know, the clock is ticking. And instead, it goes, we got to find a new buyer. And Claw's like, don't worry, I got a new buyer already lined up. And Killmonger's like, don't worry, man, I know you're good for the money, but once we get in this plane, I want you to drop me off in Wakanda. And then Claw's like, what do you want to do in Wakanda? And then immediately, Killmonger's just like, I'm going to shoot you guys, and you're taking me to fucking Wakanda, and also I'm going to shoot my own girlfriend, because I ain't give a fuck. I only care about this plan, and all I care about is wiping the slate clean so we can have a big superhero fight at the end of this movie. And then he kills Claw, and shoves him in a plane, and flies out to Wakanda.
That's what I was confused about, is this, like, airstrip.
I guess what's confusing about it, that's where you learn Killmonger's real plan, which is that he just wants to go to Wakanda.
So bad.
I don't necessarily know how he couldn't, like, he flies himself there because he kills everyone else, so he knows where Wakanda. I guess he wants Claw, but he had multiple opportunities to kill Claw. He just chose the point in the movie that was the most thrilling for the audience.
And that's what I mean, like, because I think it was neat for him to bring Claw. He had no reason to believe that that's what Wakanda wanted, but he did it.
Yeah, I mean, like, he knows that his father sold the vibranium to Claw, or sold the information about the vibranium. His father was in on the deal that got Claw the vibranium 30 years ago. But the fact that he knows that Wakanda knows, I guess Claw probably talked it up, but so maybe he just like, maybe what happened was he found all his dad's stuff. He tracked down Claw because Claw knows about Wakanda, and he's like, I got to put together a plan to get Claw to get me to Wakanda. And then Claw starts talking about Wakanda and how he stole all this stuff from them, and he's a wanted man in Wakanda, and they all know who he is. And then he's like, oh, now I got my plan going. But he should have just killed Claw then and there. But he's like, no.
There's a better scene later. Like I read it in the script.
If there's a film crew watching me, they would want to watch me do more twisty spy stuff before this happens, where we do like a heist and crap.
He rescues Claw, and then they're at this airstrip, and then he's just like, take me to Wakanda, and Claw's like, Wakanda? And then he just shoots everybody, and I was like, what is happening? Why is he doing this? Oh, because he's Killmonger, he's not Hugmonger.
And I mean, I guess the whole thing is, part of it is to be the one to get Claw, and like, not that he knows, unless he was the one seeding information to Wakanda that led them to where Claw was. He doesn't know that Wakanda knows where Claw is, but I could see, part of the James Bond villain master plan of like, I'm going to let them know where Claw is and then take him out of their reach at the last second, even though they have already basically captured him at that point. So he probably should have showed up at the casino and helped Claw out. But whatever. I could see the plan of like, the king's going to come. I'm going to make sure he fails. And then Wakanda's going to be pissed because he didn't do the thing that what the Wakandans want. They want their revenge. So I'll show up and be the hero. Because they do say, like, he finds out, like, what people need and he sows the scent. He, like, shows up in a transfer of power, and, that's when a country is at its weakest. Like, they say all that stuff at the end of the movie. But it's, again, like, it's all stuff that makes sense when you say that, and I have to work back. Like, I can work backwards from that information and plug it into the scenes and go, oh, that's what's happening here. But when you go from the scenes and then go, okay, but how does this work now? Doesn't this information work plug in better if he did this at this point or did this instead? Like, it's a lot of like, these things line up because that's how the movie needs to work. And granted, all of these Marvel movies do that, but this is the one that's like trying to be twisty.
Who was the second buyer at the casino?
Did they say there was a second buyer at the casino?
Well, I thought there was something between Claw and Martin Freeman where Martin Freeman's like, okay, let's do the deal. And then Claw's like, I'm not here for you. You don't remember this?
No,
Martin Freeman's like, you got all this.
No. I don't remember the specific scene, but no, he said the guards weren't there for Martin Freeman. As in, Martin Freeman was not enough of a threat. Because then Claw says, like, I can handle this deal with you myself.
So they knew Black Panther was going to
Whether that meant maybe, or maybe it was just a general, like, tough guy talk where it's like, the guards aren't here for you. I don't care about you. The guards are here for, I don't know,
Black Panther.
Whatever else might be going on.
Script.
Or whatever else might be going on. It doesn't, like, you could say, like, he read the script and that's applicable. Like, that might be true. But it's also, like, it was just a general, like, I don't think there was a second buyer so much as it was just like, don't let your ego inflate, dude. Like, these guards aren't here for you. I can fight you if I need to fight you. Like, I don't need grunts to do my dirty work here.
Then why are they there, Claw?
Show of power.
He's already got one arm. Let's see, where are we at?
Killmonger shows up with the body of Claw, shows it to conveniently the one person who had like complete bloodlust. Well, the one person we know had a complete bloodlust for Claw, who is then just like, yeah, I'll turn on my best friend. Fucking whatever. Like I think you said Nakia, and I agree. Nakia is kind of underdeveloped in this movie as a like. Oh,
the guy I can't even remember his name. Yeah, totally underdeveloped.
But like he is
Wakandan Judas
to be. Yeah, he seems to be T'Challa's best friend.
He is. They like talk about love life, and he loves his sister. No, Okoye.
But then he is like, hey, no one from Wakanda ever got Claw before, and I thought it'd be different with you, but you got one chance and you done fucked it up. Toodaloo. Friendship with you is over.
Friendship with Killmonger.
Killmonger.
My best friend. Yeah, he's... Especially since at the end, when T'Chaka is just like, you really gonna do this, guy? I don't know your name. And he's like, yeah, my whole tribe's gonna fight you. It's like, why? Because we need an action scene? Why?
Yeah. Killmonger shows up, and then he's like, I want the throne. And then they're like, you can't have the throne. And he's like, I have birthright. I am the son of T'Challa's uncle. And then they're like, oh, well, I guess we got to hold another
No, they
trial.
don't. They only do it because T'Chaka says, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like, I assume he could have just been like, no.
Because they do say something like, if they wanted to do this, he should have shown up last week when we had the battle. And it's like, yeah, I agree. Like, I could see, like, he has a legal right to the throne, but also, like...
So does Chadwick Boseman.
It's not his...
It's not like Chadwick Boseman is just like a rando.
No, but I mean, I see the point of like, he has a right to the trial of combat, but it's also like the trial of combat was like that one moment. Like if M'Baku didn't show up in time doing his weird chant, like if he had shown up 30
After
minutes,
he already
like,
had the necklace on him.
He said his alarm's wrong. He was 30 minutes
already gave
late.
him the power back.
Like,
we can't take it.
They're out there chanting and they're like, no, we already.
No one's even there. They just walk through the
waterfall's gone now, dude.
Like, I don't know.
You can't just set that back up. Like it would have been like too little too late, but for this one it's like, well, you know what, he was in America, he didn't come to
I mean it seemed like it was a thing.
He knew he had access to a plane and he knew where Wakanda was, so I guess he could have been here, but oh well.
I think it was an overestimation or an underestimation on Chadwick Boseman's part,
because
he was the one that was like.
My whole thing is when they beat him, everyone was just like, okay, here's the thing. I don't get Wakanda's political system. Democracy ain't shit. So this is not me being like, fuck their weird monarchy and all that kind of crap. This is just like, they are a super advanced technological society that talks so much about how like they could bring so much to the world and all this.
And their power their power transition is a trial by combat to the death.
Yeah, and they're like trial by combat to the death, and then they're just like, and even I think M'Baku says something, and I know Killmonger says something. He's like, this is who you want to lead? Only the strongest. And everyone's like, yeah, the strongest should lead. That's the one who will make the wise choices. Us. Like, we, a people who do not go to war. We specifically stay in our country forever. We believe the strongest is the one who should lead.
The culture that has literally a magic space serum to turn you into the strongest person ever. Who cares about the strongest? You're just going to make them the strongest. Who cares if they can't beat them when they're not super strong because you're going to give them super strong serum? That's all stupid. Plus, okay, when Michael B. Jordan's fighting him in Trial by Combat, and like not everybody's there, because in the original one, when the monkey people show up, they're like the Deja Vusians, Dora Milaje, they all have their spears, and then the gorillas all have their spears. They make like an ever shrinking ring.
They Fortnite
like
them.
Video game. But then when Killmonger shows up, he obviously doesn't have a bunch of people with spears, and so everyone's just like, not this time. Why would they even do that? Why would they?
Because it was exciting the first time.
Because the time limit is running out and the edges of the screen have to...
No one's hearts were in it. They didn't think Killmonger was going to win. That's why they let him take power. They were all so confused that they just kind of rolled with it, like, hoping that it would make sense soon.
No one said no yet. We don't know. We don't have rules.
I like how
for this.
he's just like, I'm king, and then he's
burn
just
the crops.
Like, burn the crops, and they're like, we can't do that, and then he strangles one of them. They're like, yeah, I guess we'll do that now, and then he's just like, fucking
you are the
yeah,
king.
All right, now load up all the weapons, and we're gonna go battle. And it's just like everyone's just like, I guess
he's our king. We can't say no. And then Chadwick Boseman shows up, and he's like, hey, I'm still alive. Your trial's not done. And he's like, yeah, it is, bro. And it's like, he's our king. You can't say no to him. It's like, this is
you drank the super juice.
It's so dumb.
And I mean, Chadwick Boseman, I will say, when he's going after Claw, when he decides to do that, there is like a group of the elders from the different tribes, and they all come in and say their piece, and then I guess he gets to make final decision regardless of what they say. There's no voting or anything.
They're just like his council. It's like the Jedi Council.
I mean, he is in charge, but it's also just like everyone is just like, I guess we just follow his lead. And I guess like it is implied that like a bunch of them are just like, yeah, we were all bloodthirsty, just waiting for the opportunity to go attack because we are all on board. To the point that we'll battle the old Super King.
Because I guess the old King sucked, which is a way better plot point for like Chadwick Boseman to come to terms with that and then fix Wakanda. But like Wakanda's also like a perfect thing, and like they weren't wrong. Anyways,
there's the longest CGI battle in the history of mankind. Okay, not only is this, every one of these Marvel movies has hero fights the evil version of themselves with a very few.
This is like exceptions. I said, this was Sub-Zero. This is freaking Scorpion.
This is the hero fights evil version of himself, and then even the hero's army fights an evil version of the army. Like, it's so insular, just everybody fighting each other, and then like the fucking it's like constantly ramping too. It's like, you know, first there's a couple people fighting, then it's a whole army fighting, then the rhinoceros show up, and then there's a spaceship flying around, and then the monkey people show up. How about when
the spaceship is just
Chadwick Boseman knocks Killmonger down into a fucking tunnel, and they're just like rock'em sock'em fighting each other, and then he's like, turn on the magnet thing to make our suits disappear.
Okay, here's what I don't get about the magnet thing that makes suits disappear. Okay, they have just these sonic trains. Great, love it. vibranium can't go faster than the speed of light, so we have to zap it with sound. Love it. What I don't understand is those are just things that run, right? Like, that's just part of the infrastructure of Wakanda, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when Sub-Zero and Scorpion fall off into the vibranium mines, and then Chadwick Boseman talks to Nakia and is like, hey, turn on the sonic thing. She's like, but your suit. And he's like, yeah, but his suit too. And then she turns it on. One, thought they were already on because that's just like part of the infrastructure. Two, a train immediately starts. She didn't just like turn on, like, she like started the train.
Because that's how it's exciting.
I know, but why?
I like how as soon as he stabs Killmonger, like, he had to call her to turn it on. So she had to click one of her little beads on her bracelet to turn that thing on. As soon as he
Do you think she ever picked the wrong one? And some poor worker was just like, I got blasted by the sonic.
I don't know how she knows.
Well, that's
which
why I don't
one's
care
what or
about
how...
the, like...
Here's the thing. Once he stabs Michael B. Jordan, the train in the sonic things immediately turn off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're like, oh, the battle's done?
The sonic destabilizers read the script. Here's the thing that's nitpicky. Movies, and this isn't the only movie to do it, I mean, it's got to be hard to fight in freefall, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a hard thing to do.
Not when you're a CGI monstrosity slapping into another CGI monstrosity.
Got him!
I will say, like I said, when I watched it in a theater, I just saw two Black Panthers smacking into each other. This time, it was very clear one of them was bright purple,
orange,
and one of them
it's
yellow.
It's a nice visual. It's just a video game.
I think even their masks are different. Not that you could tell, but like it was just like a nice touch. The Killmonger Black Panther was kind of cool. He had like a more detailed mask with like, I think he had like fangs on his face, and he's got like a bigger thing around his. But like in the end, it's just two Black Panthers smacking into each other, and then the CGI nonsense makes their superpower nano suits.
Look at this. This is a video. This is a screenshot from a video game.
Did you send me something? That is a screenshot from a video game. I mean, it's even like on a two-dimensional plane, like a Mortal Kombat. That is a pause screen in the middle of a grab attack.
That's so dumb. Anyways, they fight the Nabooians. They have... Why do the rhinos come from the ground?
Because that's what's exciting. Like, were there people in the spaceships flying around, or were those automatically...
They have to
like,
be
Black Panther,
people in it.
Do they? Because when T'Challa shows up, I have no idea how he got up there in the first place, but one of those ships just like falls from the sky, and then he emerges from the wreckage, and it's like, you just killed people that were just like, yes, I will fly this plane because
the king told me to. I don't agree with it, but you know.
T'Challa drew first blood.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a mention that they're drones, but...
It's the warehouse plane. I have to assume there's people in them, because that's Shuri's thing, is the special
That's what I thought too.
VR setup.
Especially because later on, one of the ships shows up...
Are you talking about the one that just sits at the glass?
In the basement and starts shooting at the glass. And then two other ships grab Ross's ship and like tether it because we need another thing to happen in this endless scene of a million things happening. And so like I assume that automated drone ships wouldn't just be like, let's tether this thing and one of us will go down to the basement and shoot at his window while he's playing VR video games. But I don't know. That means T'Challa just like flat out murdered someone because they were doing their job.
Well, Wakanda is all about Wakanda unity, but only the Black Panthers. Everyone else sucks and should die. That's why we don't visit the mountain people, and that's why we hate other people. Here's what I don't understand about Michael B. Jordan's backstory, which admittedly is very loose. He's like, now granted, what do I know? He's like I was put down all throughout my life, and like my life was hard, and I got to deal with all this stuff, and like I'm gonna get back at all these people. We're gonna give guns to everybody so they can revolt. As much as I know of him, he like was really good in the the army and the Navy SEALs, and then went to MIT. Like, I don't know, that doesn't seem like he was knocked down, but maybe that's me?
Yeah, now that you mention that, like, I mean, it doesn't mean he didn't struggle to get there, but
right.
It did seem
it's just like I didn't have a scene.
He made a lot out of his life.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. T'Challa uses his super move attack and reduces Killmonger's life to 0. And then...
And then he chooses to, instead of a fatality, he does a friendship, and he takes him out onto a cliff, and they watch the sunset.
Yeah, and then Killmonger kills himself.
And Killmonger's like, bury me with.
He says, throw me in the water.
Real quick, speaking of the magic super juice, how does that...
Don't ask me how it
works. Can they grow more, or is it all gone forever? Will it never grow again?
Movies, I don't know.
2, Nakia takes one... Should have grabbed more.
Just like she should have grabbed the second Black Panther suit. Maybe Shuri should have been like,
she takes
I'm going to grab the Black Panther suit and I'm going to grab the other one for me so that I can also fight as a Black Panther. but I guess I won't be super strong.
She offers it to M'Baku, who doesn't take it because it just turns out he's a pretty chill dude.
Oh, because he lives in the cold mountains.
But they give it to T'Challa, and his mom is just like, "Don't worry, I know how to." I know.
She just has like the mortar and pestle right there. She carries it on her,
and all you gotta do is smash it all up, and it just like it turns into flat.
It turns into hot juice. There's steam coming off it.
Well, yeah, that's because there's all that vibranium power in there, just ready to come out.
Vibranium's so cool.
And they mix it and they pour it. Like, what happened? Could he just bite the fruit? Does it have to be?
It's not like she mixes it with anything.
Goo? Yeah. It's just like you just smash, and that's like, this is stupid nitpicking, I know, but it's also just like, what is this plant? Like,
magic.
How does it work? Can you just bite it? Like, what would happen if you did that? How did they discover that it did this? Like, is that how they discovered their first king? Was some rando from the Black Panther tribe decided they found this glowing fruit and they were like, I'm dumb enough to just stick this in my stupid face.
That's how we get all our
munched
food.
on it.
People are desperate.
And then they got superpowers. Or was there a point where just like everybody was eating this fruit and they all had superpowers?
They're like, we can't all eat
one
this
of them
and be
was
super, then no one's super.
I'm the only one who's got the superpowers now. Everybody else, go live in the Monkey Mountains.
Everyone else, if you want the superpower fruit, fight me to death. This is a democracy.
I'm gonna drink the D superpower.
What's the D superpower fruit? Like,
it's the same fruit, but you turn it inside out first, and then you smash
it
into goo.
How about vibranium is so good? It's the magical MacGuffin. It does whatever it needs to, but also it's the anti-vibranium. It makes anti-superpower food.
Vibranium is weak to sound.
It's the soundanium.
But it's also great for sound. Because vibranium, the whole thing about vibranium with Captain America's shield is it absorbs sound. But we learned in this movie that the vibranium nanosuit is weak to sound. So, okay.
Checkmate.
But apparently, maybe that's what... Okay. Maybe that's not... Maybe it's not the heart-shaped herb that they make the D-power juice out of. Maybe they just take like an apple and scream at it for a while, and then they smash it up and go like, drink this while there's still vibrations in here.
There's not a vibranium.
They'll get all that
freaking quick link, is there? No.
You're gonna shit like no other in the morning.
It's completely vibration absorbent. Why
exactly.
Is it...
Then why does the sound make it disappear? Because we needed a scene
minute.
where they could stab him through his super suit that they specifically designed in this movie a super suit that was super powerful, that couldn't be damaged by anything, and then had to find a way around that.
Why does this say that it was created by Wanda Maximoff?
Vibranium?
Yeah.
In the MCU?
Yeah, I'm on the Marvel Cinematic Universe.fandom.com/wiki/vibranium, and it says creator Wanda Maximoff.
Hold on a second.
Do you want me to send you this link?
Yeah.
How about that video game screenshot? It's so dumb. I hate these movies.
Creator. Recreated Vision. Are they saying she didn't create vibranium?
Created
she just
Vision
created
that is made
some
of vibranium.
What the fuck? Owners, the Museum of Great Britain, formerly. How did she make vibranium? Is it just because because her vision is like? I mean, I guess he's magic, but
that's her only mention on this entire article.
What a fucking dumb thing.
So anyways, they go to the United Nations. T'Challa's got this killer baller poncho thing that he wears over his suit that's super badass. And then he buys a bunch of property in Oakland and then makes a spaceship appear in a basketball court. And then he's like, hey kid, I'm the... And then credits.
And then in the mid-credits, we get a scene that I think would have to have taken place before this, where they reveal themselves to the United Nations. But it does another stupid coy thing like who are you? And then it cuts before he says Black Panther or T'Challa or whatever. Whereas in this one, they're like, what could Wakanda? That's right. I was still thinking Wanda and being like, what? How dumb. Where they're like, what could Wakanda give to the rest of the world? They're just a bunch of farmers. And then they're
like,
smirk.
oh, little do you know, we have fucking spaceships. How pissed would you be?
Ross is back there smirking and pumping his fist like, oh, get ready for the Gotham.
Would you be if you were just like there representing like Austria and some dude just showed up and was like, hey, we've had spaceships for like 20 years and like we can just heal people just like that. It's no problem. We have superpower juice.
Rub this metal bar on your balls.
You guys are all living in the fucking Stone Age. You guys are all idiots. This guy's being like, what the fuck?
We invented sneakers.
You guys don't have sneakers,
like
right?
That.
And hover bicycles. Am I supposed to know why Bucky's in Wakanda? Did I miss something? Did I forget something?
You forgot something. He was cryogenically frozen again in Wakanda at the end of Civil War.
Why?
In the like mid-credits thing. You asked the same question where they're like, why couldn't they just heal him? Why would they freeze him? But they froze him because he was like, I still got all these laptops in the brain.
When they're like, hey, you spent the whole movie being a good guy, and he's like, yeah, but I read the script.
Sometimes I still have
I
dark
read the
thoughts.
script, man. Just wait, give me a few movies. I can't wait till we're done. We only have to watch like 14 episodes of a show.
And then it ends with it saying Black Panther will return in Infinity War. Did you like that? Since you didn't like before when it didn't say the movie they
I
were
like when it
returning
says the
in.
movie they're returning to. It gets me hyped. No, it doesn't. It's better than like Black Panther will return.
I don't mind it. Like you do. I don't have any problem with it just saying like they'll return. And I know that like you're like, of course they're gonna return, but also like when it started, like it was a big deal. No one did know whether these characters would return or not. Like that was part of the hype, was just like, this character doesn't end here. They'll be
tell
back.
me the movie they'll be back, and so I can see that one.
You don't always know.
They have
You
this
just know
all.
that they'll be
Remember
back,
that
so you'll be
huge thing that
excited.
was like, here's all the Marvel movies that are coming out between now and the next 40 years.
Some of them don't have titles.
Then say
Some of
Black
them just
Panther will return in working title.
There, yeah, that you'd
I'd
love
like,
that.
at least, okay, I'll see working title.
Seth, give me 2 put-ups and a
I
put-down.
will say the very beginning scene where they explain the origins of Wakanda and vibranium, and while it doesn't make sense later, I liked it. I thought it was like a nice camera thing. I thought it did a decent job at being like, this magic space rock.
Do you remember?
No, of course not. You know me.
While I was watching that scene when it like suddenly cuts to like, and then it was the future and mankind had war, but Wakanda was still shrouded in mystery. I could be wrong because I did not rewind to double check. I thought it opened up with young T'Challa saying, "Father, tell me a story of the Black Panther." But he probably said, "Tell me the story of Wakanda." But I was just like, this is not the story of the Black Panther.
I don't think they do, because I think
I'm probably
the only time the
misremembering
movie
it.
refers to itself as Black Panther is in the end credits.
What I remembered the opening question being was like, tell me the story of like, I thought it was like, tell me the story of the Panther God.
Batu.
I think it's just Bast.
That's true. You've been saying Batu. Batu.
But I could be wrong. I don't actually
I don't know anything, dude. I've already purged this, and I still have a put up and a put down left, so that sucks. My second put up is going to be the casino. Again, great camera work, fun stuff. My put down is going to be the video game fight scene at the end between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Because it looks bad. I've already sat through this movie for 2 hours. I don't care about any of this stuff. They already fought. They're not doing like anything. I mean, I guess they're doing things different because they're both in Black Panther mode, but I don't know. I hate it.
Black Panther mode, engage.
They both like constantly unphase their masks. The dumb train. Ugh.
My first put up is the like first third of the
When it's a
movie
spy thing?
where it was a spy movie. Yeah, I thought that stuff was fun. Nothing great, but interesting, and I was intrigued for the movie that I thought was coming.
Even though you knew it wasn't
said,
coming.
Psych. I mean, I guess I'm conflating this with my original viewing, but I like that stuff. My second put up is I like the spiritual Panther scenes in the spirit realm. That stuff's interesting and different, and like I said, I like how this movie feels like it's kind of out of all the like non-Guardians movies, this is the movie that feels like it's kind of going for it.
Like you said, I think the last few have.
I think Ant-Man does too, and like Thor Ragnarok, but like this one, I don't know, this is the one that felt like none of these feel like superhero movies except for Spider-Man. The rest of them are all just like things that what could debatably be a superhero is featured in. Spider-Man's the only one that's like, this is a superhero movie where the superhero shows up to stop a crime. All the other ones are just like, big madman does an evil thing.
And the guy who is in the good version of him stops him.
My put down is that entire final act. It's like just CGI nonsense. It goes on forever. There's, like I said, there's 2 armies battling. There's 2 Black Panthers.
At least they were color-coded.
Battling.
Like it was fucking samurai warriors.
There's the stupid like CGI train. There's the spaceships flying around. There's CGI rhinoceros. It's just like a million things all over the place, and it just keeps going. And I hated that. It's the worst final act any of these movies have had yet.
Good answer.
And then, Seth, where did you put this in your total ranking of every Marvel movie ever?
So like I said earlier, I was struggling. I just ended up putting it there. These are probably interchangeable. I put it at number 9. This is right below Thor Ragnarok, right above Avengers Age of Ultron. I debated putting it above Thor Ragnarok, but then I didn't.
So this has been moving up and down my list. It was at one point as high as I think 5, but then I dropped it down and I put it at number 8. It's currently underneath Captain America: The First Avenger and right above Captain America: Civil War. I was wondering if I could probably drop it below Civil War. I think there's more that I like in Civil War in isolation. I think Black Panther is kind of like Ant-Man. It's long and everything, but I feel like compared to Civil War, Black Panther's probably a little breezier. But honestly, like, I don't know. I have trouble. I really didn't like this movie the first time. I thought it was okay this time.
I think the big thing for me going for it is it's long, it's boring, there's some stupid stuff in it. None of it's, like, offensively bad. You know, I can look at Avengers Age of Ultron and think of stuff I hated in that movie. I can think of Thor Ragnarok, and even though it's better, like I said, they're interchangeable. Like, there's things that I'm like, God, I hated when the Immigrant Song played, and like I just knew I was in for a bad time. Like, there's parts that bothered me in those movies and that affected me. Whereas in Black Panther, I was just kind of like, this is dumb, but it's not like eliciting any sort of insane reaction from me. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like this, tell a friend. If you didn't, then lie to a friend. Check us out on Twitter at SoHowAbout. You can find me on Twitter at SethKumpf. You can find Andrew on Twitter at TessuDownist. And subscribe to us on YouTube at SoHowAbout.
And join us next time when we do this once more with Interference.
Watcher. Boop, boop.
Steph, now that the mics are off, what are we watching next week?
Well, Andrew, I'm so glad you asked, even though you already know, because it said Black Panther was returning in Avengers Infinity War. We've been working towards this for 10 long years, and it's only halfway done.
Neat.
I guess.